The new American dream is to leave.
I'm sorry, but the American dream never existed. Like what? Your dream is to work until you are 65 and decrepit and not be able to make ends meet the entire time?
And the American dream, they're going to get a shot at it, which is a deal. But in fact, out of Washington, the American people haven't gotten the shot.
You guys have probably been raised and been informed about the American dream, and have been told to work hard in order to achieve that American dream. Whether you are a United States citizen or you are an immigrant coming from another country, maybe because you're coming to pursue education, or you want to work, or you're just in the country because you are escaping a bad regime and you're in America. Definitely you're not gonna sit on your butt. You're gonna go outside there, work your A off, and try to achieve the American dream. But in the recent years, is the American dream really a reality? Is it even possible? Can anyone achieve if they put their mindset in? Can someone lock in and achieve the American dream? Well, that is the question that we are gonna try to investigate if it's possible in today's video. Let's take a look.
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over three?
There is no more middle class. This has to do with the wealth disparity in America, which if you want to make a political thing, you're more than welcome to make it a political. The 1% of America owns $47.44 trillion. The equivalency would be if I go to spend $1 at the Dollar Tree and I go, it's $1. That's how they view $400,000. So we're supposed to go to college, right? And then we have to take a loan out for college, and then no one teaches you about interest rates. So that's fine. So we're stuck paying those for 20 years. And then we work really, really hard. And then we go, well, I'm going to go buy a house. But JK, because 27% of single family homes are owned by investors. How is that allowed? Then we have inflation, and inflation is supposed to decrease spend. Okay. So inflation rose last year, 7%. And if your boss didn't give you a 7% raise, then you actually lost money. The American dream, as we were told from when we were kids, is dead. And now we're building our idea of what the American dream is. And I can assure you, it's not working our lives away until one day we maybe retire and can enjoy our lives. Making rich people richer is not what gets us going anymore.
The Stewart kids and the Emmanuel kids, they're going to be good. Loving home, good education. And the American dream, they're going to get a shot at it, which is a deal. But in fact, out of Washington, the American people haven't gotten the shot. They've gotten the shaft. And what happened is trying to own a home, trying to basically save for your retirement, save for your kids' education and health care so you're not in the poorhouse one sickness away. People are missing medications. Kids are coming home from college. They're living in the basement. And the American dream is good for only about 10% of the kids. That's not how we keep score. And we are responsible for not keeping faith with that.
Then, can't you understand why a percentage of the population would be like, burn it down?
No.
I don't care.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
More than that, because of what happened both in Iraq war, what happened in the financial meltdown, the American people lost their lives, their livelihood, and the elite let them down. There is no doubt that they're right to be angry. I have no problem with some of the people that make up the MAGA. They have a right to be angry because the elite lost faith with them. What I have is all these other executives who've lived large on America, who allow a president to run roughshod over the law, who run roughshod over America.
Right.
They have no right to that.
But that's because not owning the Democratic failure. That's, again, placing it to. So let's stay with...
The Democrats have a responsibility. They have, for what they have done with losing faith. You can't let Peoria, Youngstown, you can't let parts of Wisconsin, La Crosse.
But we did.
No, we did. And that's why the first thing, sorry. We owe you. No, we do. You have to get clean with people, own what we did wrong, and worst case scenario, we then get sidetracked into side issues rather than the main cause, which is the American dream.
So how would Democrats bring that back?
The American dream is unaffordable.
Right.
It's inaccessible.
Yes.
And that should be unacceptable to us.
I'm sorry, but the American dream never fucking existed. Like what? Your dream is to work until you are 65 and decrepit and not be able to make ends meet the entire time? Like, I'm sorry, but that just does not sound remotely appealing to me. It's not even about the dream anymore. Like, people are literally just trying to afford living in America. And here's the thing. If you are working for America, you will never be able to live your dream life in America. Like, and I know that most of you are probably already scrolled by now because you don't think it's possible to live in America without working for America. I was a server at the beginning of 2023. I quit my serving job. I started affiliate and digital marketing in April of 2023. and have now made almost $300,000 working online, and none of that came from my serving job. So if you are genuinely interested in working for yourself, starting an online business, check out the roadmap. It's at the top of my page. It literally shows you everything that you need to know to make money online, to start digital marketing. But I promise your dreams are so much more achievable than you think they are, but you're probably not going to reach very many of them by living that American dream life.
I can't believe so many of you didn't celebrate the 4th of July. That is so un-American. How can you not believe in the American dream? I'm going to tell you this right now, honey. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe in it. It's called the American dream because the only way for it to be real is for you to be living in some kind of delusional reality that isn't actually the reality that exists. It's called the American dream because they sold you a lie, honey. It's called the American dream because there are still those of us who were born here, who were raised here, who grew up here, who still believe that it's possible, even though there is evidence to the contrary. But we are believing that it is possible, being constantly confronted with the true reality of this country, which is that it does not care about us. And it's heartbreaking. And it's heart-wrenching. And it is so painful existing as a brown, queer, neurodivergent, non-binary body in this country and still holding on to hope that there are enough people here who care enough to rise up and show that we can actually make this country what it has always been meant to be, despite it being founded on a foundation of oppression and genocide and death. I don't believe in the American dream that you believe in. I believe in the American dream that is that we are better than this and that we are capable of being better than this. Because I'm awake.
What do I get from all these people that have shared their opinions before? What I really do think is that each and every person has a different perspective of an American dream, but there's some point where each and every person seems to have agreed with each other. Yes, the American dream, as much as it seems like it's dead, for me, I really do think it's not dead. It's how you perceive it. It's how you understand it. It's how you visualize it. It's how you go out there and work towards it. What do you want to achieve? You, as you, not as everyone, as you. How do you achieve it? Because if you understand the American dream and if you understand where you want to go, and the other person understands where they want to go, and the other, and if we come collectively, then we can all achieve the American dream. Approximately 69% of Americans still believe the American dream is possible. That is, achieving good housing, living healthy, and also having a good source of income. Not only like a good or a dream job, but also owning businesses. And this is where I come from. There is a lady who has talked about quitting her job and then working in marketing or a remote job. That is something I'm going to talk about later in the video. When we're ending the video, we're going to talk about how the remote working is changing the landscape of the working environment. But other than that, if you want to achieve the American dream, don't think that your dream job, working like from your 20s to your 40s or 50s, is gonna change your American dream. You have to be flexible. You have to move. You have to diversify your portfolio in order to achieve your American dream. The American dream cannot be achieved by having only one source of income or having only one job that is a good job that is paying you well, or living in a condo or thinking that you are living the best life. Living in a condo is not the American dream. The American dream is having your own property, a big property, having a ranch, being able to go to vacations in different parts of the world and being able to afford that without straining yourself. And not just you, but you and your family, your kids. You can even take your parents or your relatives. And so many people seem like to be stressed, and so many people want to achieve this dream faster, like even early as 18 or 20 or 25. But this is something that people can achieve even as late as 40. So keep in the grind.
The new American dream is to leave. And I'm not just talking about living abroad and earning American dollars and taking advantage of the exchange rates. I'm just talking about living a life of dignity at this point. I mean, where else in the world is anyone paying this much for healthcare? Where else in the world is anyone eating wheat that they can't digest and it's wrecking their gut? Where else in the world do you live to work, not just work to live? Look, moving abroad isn't for everybody. I'm not forcing my ideas on anybody. But if you're someone like me who thinks that, you know what, I'd like to try living somewhere else, well, then yeah. Then you might like my content. And look, a lot of people in my comments come at me and they're like, well, just leave, or why do you hate America? I've never once bashed America, okay? I just ask questions and I say, hey, I've been somewhere else in the world where they do it this way. That might be a little bit better than the way we do it here. And if asking questions is wrong, well, I guess I am living in the wrong country. Nowhere is a utopia, and life can be a struggle everywhere. But it's at least worth trying and giving it a shot than just staying in the same place your entire life and never knowing.
Why is it that everyone seems to understand the concept of intersectionality except when it comes to Americans? I saw this post yesterday that was somebody, probably from the global south, saying that Americans don't recognize the privileges that they have over people that are from the global south. And this is very true. And the person who responded to this post was demonstrating exactly what this person was talking about, because they were like, I'm black in America, and so I don't want to hear about the privileges that I hold as an American, like I didn't choose to come here. While that is true, the privileges that you have as an American over people who are in the global south don't immediately go away because of your race, because of your class, because of your gender. Privileges like, for example, not having to get a visa to get into many countries because your passport is extremely powerful. Being able to go to other people's countries and buy goods for extremely cheap. All those travel tourism videos where people, black and white alike, are like, OMG, it's so cheap to buy food in this country. I should move to this country. People can participate in that type of gentrification regardless of what race they are. Ask the people who are in Mexico City. It's happening right now. So that's just the privilege of your passport and your currency. What about the privilege of speaking a language that people all over the world are forced to learn because it is the lingua franca of the world? Basically, wherever you go in the world, you'll be able to find someone that speaks English. This is not the case for a lot of people, and that is a privilege. Now, after the privileges of the language, the currency, the passport, you have the privilege of not being in a country that is experiencing famine, man-made famine because of other powers like Yemen. You have the privilege of not being in a country that has war within its borders because of what imperialist powers are doing, because you live in the imperialist power itself. You have the privilege of having access to a social safety net. Now, is the social safety net in the United States as good as it is in some European countries? No, but in a lot of countries, there is no social safety net whatsoever. There are no food stamps. The government is not going to be giving federal loans for people to go to college, etc. I think this perspective grows out of the oppression Olympics that we have found ourselves in, rather than going towards intersectionality. For a lot of people, because they feel like they're at the bottom of the totem pole, they can't possibly accept the suggestion that somebody could be worse off or that they have one aspect of privilege. And by the way, it's worse off in one way. It's not necessarily saying that the poorest black person in America is always better off than the poorest person in the global south. But what it is saying is that in relation to the nationality, you have a privilege of being an American, which affords you all of these different things that I just discussed that people in the global south, frankly, do not have. And it's interesting because it's like, in a way, people are very comfortable in saying that they have all of these layers of oppression of things against them, but very uncomfortable with saying that they have certain privileges. And it's funny because this is exactly what white people do. White poor people, for example, they'll be like, how do I have privilege? I'm poor. Or white women, how do I have privilege? I'm a woman. This black person in this post was doing the exact same thing. Like, as a black person living in America, how do I have privilege? I'm black. It's not the only factor. Like, I'm black and a woman, but at the same time, my educational background, I was able to get a bachelor's degree. I'm able-bodied, I'm cisgender. It's many things that afford me a certain level of privilege that other people don't have. But if I was to hide behind, oh, well, no, because I'm a black woman and it's already hard enough and da-da-da-da-da, it's like, okay, guys, I don't know why, because intersectionality is such a popular concept, but somehow we still find ourselves getting into these ridiculous disputes around identity. It's really not about who is more oppressed or who is the most oppressed. It's about taking into account all of these different, distinctions of how a person can have privilege or how a person can be oppressed, whether it's gender, race, class, and it's all mixing together. They're all interacting and they're, creating new forms of being. When you think that because of your identity, because you are the lowest on the totem pole, that means that you can't step on anybody else, that's when it becomes dangerous. And that's how you get, you just might be a Black Bill Gates in the making. Oh! We've seen it time and time again. Like, no identity keeps people from stepping on other people, whether it be being Black, whether it be whatever you want, put it, insert here. No identity keeps people from stepping on other people. And we should always be conscious of the ways in which our status, whether it be in any of those ways that I mentioned, gender, class, race, are granting us privileges over other people who don't have that status. I mean, especially during this time where people are literally being taken off of the streets because they don't have American citizenship in the way that the government deems to be acceptable. It's a privilege to not be taken off of the streets, for sure, and thrown in a truck and moved to a Louisiana detention center.
That is exactly what I'm talking about, the victim mentality. How are you going to use your race as an excuse to say that you cannot achieve your American dream? Obviously, when you're born here in the United States of America, you are privileged. You are privileged as compared to someone like, let's say, Pakistan, like just take a country like Gaza, countries like those. You'd find some people have made it through. Some people maybe moved from those areas and they moved to other areas and they're living good because they were able to overcome that mentality of victimhood where you feel like you cannot achieve, like where you want to receive aid in order to live. You want to live on food stamps in order to live. So if you want to live on food stamps or you're complaining about the food stamp thing and you want to achieve the American dream, don't get me wrong, that is gonna take you like a whole lot of years in order to achieve that. But if you leave that victimhood mentality and just try to break barriers and just be strong, like have grit. Remember, living the American dream is like applying for that job where it's saturated, where there are so many people who are qualified for that job, but you try again and again and again until you get that job. And then eventually when you get that job, you consider yourself as someone who was won. Achieving the American dream is all about trying, and if you don't try as many times as possible, then the chances of getting that American dream is almost like, it's just like null and void. So you have to throw in everything, like go in there. Don't use your gender identity, don't use your skin color as excuse of not achieving the American dream. That is a good breakdown by that lady over there. I really like how she articulated her points. But away from that, we gotta go back to statistics where it's like approximately 4 out of 10 Americans between ages 18 to 29 do feel like the American dream is out of reach or out of touch. Why so? Because they feel like there is a rising cost of living, cost of houses is going up, affording education is really a thing because right now there is a lot of cuts in there. You know, these loans that students are being given, right now getting them is like somehow tricky, or if they get them, they may end up being heavy loans in the future where you have loans to repay but you do not have jobs ideal to make you being able to afford to pay for those loans. Don't get me wrong, in many parts of the world, so many people still use education as a key to success. But imagine this scenario, yeah? You've dropped out of high school or college and then you've tried to pursue something like, let's say, you have a company that does cleaning or does cutting grass for people in the neighborhood, or you just learning a skill where you repair people's phones that are broken, or laptop where you fix. You go neighborhood by neighborhood, you advertise your business online, you get clients across the country, they pay you good, you amass these revenues little by little, and then you start opening up companies. They do major services across the country, like America as a country. You see, that is at least like you're climbing the ladder up, like you can afford the life that so many people want. Because even these people, the young people who want to achieve the American dreams, they want to live that lavish life of buying Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton, living in New York condos, being able to afford to go to Greece and taking those Instagrammable pictures. You can't live your 365 days like a vacation. That is completely wrong. So people have to change their perspective about the American dream. The American dream is quite there. It's really difficult right now. But if you lock in, that's the term the people use right now. If you lock in, remember there are so many factors that have favored the road to achieving the American dream. And this could be attributed to the American dream is evolving And it's no longer just about a house with a white picket fence for many. It now means it's about remote work and being flexible. There's the issue of creative freedom, community, and purpose. There's also access to healthcare and education. Well, healthcare and education, I agree there's a problem there they need to fix, because the passing of the big beautiful bill, I don't know how it's going to affect that sector. There's really a big problem there. But creative freedom, right now we have so much. People can use things like TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, just these social media platforms, create content about the products you want to sell to people or services you're offering to people. Cannot only be tangible products, can be things like massage, tutoring, financial advice, and things like that. Like, just think of something out of the box and then advertise or market yourself out there. You can get clients and then diversify your business. It cannot only be that. You can start now marketing different things within your field or engage in other field, like differentiate yourself, be able to stand out, because if you stand out and you solve societal problems, then you're gonna get rich and you're gonna live the American dream. It's just that simple. And also, don't stress over material things. Try to also balance work and life. Be mentally straight. Reduce the stress, my bro. Go to the gym. There's so many things like to live freely. Don't just, be stressed. Like, if you fail today, you're stressed about tomorrow. Live the moment. Tomorrow is not promised. Today, the one that you are living, that you are in, live, okay? Strive to have a community that will propel you forwards, that will ignite the fire in you. Listen to the opinions that these debaters have articulated. They are very good ones if you read in between the lines. Of course, if you leave that victim mentality. Anyways, guys, I don't know how you guys do you think American dream is still possible? How are you approaching the American dream? How do you think people can approach the American dreams, especially those who are about to despair or those who are about to give up? How can you advise them to achieve or to work towards achieving the American dream? Don't be shy. Share your comments. Help a brother out. And also, don't forget to check the original creators. Their usernames have been embedded in the stitched videos as always. Go on to their TikToks. Follow, like for this channel, smash a huge thumbs up, subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you may not miss my next upload. Let me meet you tomorrow or in my next video. Peace out.